I had been praying for a long time to meet a girl that would be good for me. I didn't exactly know what the criteria were that I thought would make a girl a good fit, but I knew that at least I wanted her to have a great spiritual interest, and that was pretty rare. But then I met her. She came with a friend of mine, both from Sweden to the Netherlands where I lived, for a few days of holiday. And then we really connected, and I knew that this is my prayer answer. This is the one that I've been waiting for. But then it was time for her to leave again and go back home. And it seemed like everything that I had hoped for, that I had waited for, slipped through my fingers. And let's just stick with the fact that I had a pretty hard time dealing with that. Those who had been following Jesus thought that he would be the one who would save them from the Romans. They thought that he was going to be a king who would establish his kingdom on earth. And they saw how he healed people, and they thought, awesome, if our soldiers get wounded in the battle as we're trying to establish this new kingdom, he can heal them. Perfect. They saw his miracles in providing food for thousands of people with almost nothing. So, sweet, we don't need to worry about ratios and food in battle. Everything matched in their mind. This was it. This was the one that they had been waiting for, praying for, hoping for. They had literally left everything behind to follow him. But then he gets arrested, beaten, tortured, and even killed. Can you imagine what these people must have felt? I don't think that there's any words to really capture those feelings. So was this it? Was Jesus a fake? Were they wrong about him? Was there any hope left? Jesus died on a Friday and continued to be in the grave on Saturday, but then Sunday came. And the mightiest of the Lord's angels came down, and the earth shook, and he removed the stone that sealed the tomb and cried out with a loud voice, "Son of God, come forth. Thy Father calls thee." God kept his word. Leaving his tomb clothes neatly folded behind, Jesus came forth alive. In majesty and glory, sin had been paid for. Hebrews 2:9 says, "But we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels, for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of God, might taste death for everyone." Jesus tasted death. A better translation here is actually experience. He experienced the death, the separation from the Father that we have chosen through sin. See, we're not just talking about the death, or actually the sleep as the Bible refers to it, that comes naturally after about maybe 80 years or so because we are mortal and subject to death. But the second death, after the judgment, the complete separation from the Father as a result of sin. And because of the life that Jesus had in himself as a divine being, John 11:25 says, "I am the resurrection and the life." Death could no longer hold him in the tomb. Sin was paid for. The free will of man was honored. So death had no power over life anymore. The resurrecting power and life that was within Jesus, his divinity, broke the bonds of death at the call of the Father. And because Jesus gained victory over death, he is able to save us from death so we may live forever. Isn't that good news? And over the next 40 days, the resurrected Jesus appeared to many people who could all see for themselves and testify that this man had been dead, but now is very much alive. This wasn't done in a corner so we would always have this doubt whether it really happened or not. This was public. This was real. During these days, he gave his disciples Bible study masterclasses. He explained everything to them, why things happened as they did, what they were to do next, because Jesus would go to heaven to work for us there. And that's another study for another time. For now, it's enough for you to know that Jesus went to heaven, but mankind was left with the promise of hope from the Savior. John 14, verse 1-3. "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it weren't so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. What an amazing promise. One day, very soon, Jesus will come as our King. He will take his people to heaven. And it's funny because most people, Bible believers or not, they have this idea that heaven is our goal, that is the finish line, that is our home. But actually, we're going to only stay there for a little while. God is preparing something even better. Check out these Bible verses and then we'll break them down along the way. These are just mind-boggling. Revelations 21 verse 1 to 5. Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also there was no more sea. I've had a number of times where I've been working on something and it was great. Like for example, writing a script for a YouTube video. I had a powerful quote, a good structure, I really was satisfied. But then something happened and it was all gone. I didn't save the file or overwrote it or whatever it was. You probably have had experiences like that too. And then it's like, man, this was so good. But you don't have a choice. You need to recreate it. And more times than not, my new version is actually better than the old. What God made the first time was perfect, breathtaking. But then we destroyed it. So he's going to recreate it and it's going to be even better. This is something that God is very good at. When we make mistakes in life, when we mess up, it doesn't mean that we need to give up. Turn to God, tell Him, ask Him to help you, and trust me, He can make something even more beautiful come out of it. Let's read on. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and He will dwell with them, and they shall be His people. God Himself will be with them and be their God. Did you catch that? Our jaw should be on the floor when reading this. So we have the New Jerusalem, which the Bible actually described with quite some details in other parts of the Bible, like the streets will be made of gold, and each gate is made out of pearl. Not pearls, plural, singular. One gate is made out of one pearl. And in the New Jerusalem will be our mansion that Jesus prepared for you. I remember when I grew up, I used to watch a TV program called Cribs. Celebrities were showing off their mansions and their cars and their pools and all the luxury that you can think of. And I was like, whoa, that looks so amazing. But you know what? We're going to think of those kind of mansions like, and roll our eyes when we look at the mansion that Jesus prepared for us, our Creator, with all kinds of things that you cannot even think of. So that's all cool and amazing and just wow. But this is the part that should really be jaw-dropping. The New Jerusalem is God's tabernacle. It's His home. It's where God is. It's God's headquarters. And it's in heaven now, but He's going to move. He's going to pack His stuff in boxes and He's going to relocate His home to the new earth so He can live among us. Do you get how huge that is? Like at this time, earth is like the loser. Out of all of these other worlds that God created, we are the only ones that sinned and rebelled against our Creator and even caused His death. We're the outlaws, we're the rebels, the criminals, the bad apples. And God says, I'm going to make my home there. The new earth is going to be the capital city, the center of the entire universe. Mankind, earth, is going to be exalted and honored above all of His creation. I don't even know what to say. Let's just move on with the next mind-boggling thing. And in the end, I'm going to share a verse with you that's almost going to make you wonder, what's wrong with God? How is it possible that He can be so good to us? Let's read on. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. I don't need to explain how much we should be looking forward to this, because you're a broken person just like me, and no matter who you are, you've had your share of pain and misery and sickness and worries and suffering and all of this stuff. No more. It's gonna be over. There's not going to be anything like that anymore. No more violence, no more racism, no more bullying or anxiety, no more insecurity or fear. It's going to be life like how it was designed to be. Life like how we wish it was. Now let's look at the last part of this Bible passage. Then he who sits on the throne said, "Behold, I make all things new," and said to me, "Write, for these words are true and faithful." The person who promises these things is none other than Jesus Christ. Friends, we're gonna see our Creator, our Savior, face to face. We're gonna look in His eyes. He's gonna look into ours. When we see Him the first time, are we gonna fall down before Him in worship? Or do we run to Him and throw our arms around His neck? I don't know. But what I do know is that we're gonna be with Him forever. And He will be one of us forever. Did you know that Jesus is still going to be clothed in humanity? He's still going to have the scars in His hands forever. There will be a continual reminder of the unlimited love that God has for us. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. He didn't simply borrow Jesus to the human race for 33 years. Are you looking forward to it yet? Friends, there is nothing on this earth that won't be 1,000,000 times better on the new earth. But now let me give you the punchline. All these things that we have talked about should raise our levels of excitement and hope for the future like sky high. But now check this out. 1 Corinthians 2:9. But as it is written, "Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love Him." Everything that we've seen so far is like looking through a half-covered keyhole of a royal palace. We cannot even comprehend how amazing eternity will be. That is the hope for the future that God has for us. But God doesn't just save the good stuff for later. He has big plans for your life here on earth too. And that is what we're going to talk about in our next videos. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it's been helpful to you. And if you got any value out of the video, then please consider liking it, leaving a comment, subscribing, and most importantly, sharing it with your friends.